What makes video games enjoyable to play? In the early days, it all came down to one word: fun. Is the game fun to play? Again and again? Even today, game designers ask this question each time they make a game. But nowadays, there are other ways to make a game enjoyable, even if it is not necessarily fun to play all the time. Modern video games contain several elements that make them enjoyable and, yes, fun to play. In this episode, we'll explore some of these core elements, and at the end, we'll see a demo of how these elements come together to create a fun experience. The first and probably most important element is gameplay. This is a heavily loaded one because it contains several sub-elements that each has its own important role to play in building the experience of a game. I won't go into each of them in depth for now, but gameplay essentially defines how you play the game. What are the rules of the game? How easy or difficult is it to learn the controls? What are the restrictions you have? What kind of rewards do you get for playing the game? And do you have an incentive to keep playing the game repeatedly in hope of a better reward? Generally speaking, if the gameplay is good enough, all other elements of a game can be ignored to a certain extent by the players. This element also has a few important sub-elements that collectively define the visual style of a game. And it all begins with the art style or design language that the game chooses. Playing a video game is usually described as walking around in a painting, and that is exactly what some games try to achieve. The visual fidelity, commonly referred to as graphics, refers to the level of detail added to the art shown in the game. The higher the level of detail, the better we consider the graphics to be. Most of the time, the production budget decides this level of detail, but sometimes it is intentionally kept low to make the game seem more artistic. Also part of the visual element is animation. This is the way in which various characters move in the game and interact with the world. This adds to how immersive the game is, and it is all achieved through the magic of animation. This element is where video games very closely resemble movies, and one in which the sub-elements are easily recognizable by a wider audience. In modern games, a good narrative can cover up some of the flaws in gameplay, and some games are played almost exclusively for their narrative strength. Like any good movie, a good narrative in video games requires that one or more of the sub-elements has to be good. The general story of the game, the dialogue between the various characters, and the screenplay. Although this word doesn't really appear in video game production, it can be replaced by phrases like level design or scripting, but the general idea is the same. How does the game move from one scene to the next, maintaining the overall flow of the story? When put together, these can convey a convincing story that makes the player want to progress further in the game. But in a lot of cases, gameplay is still considered to be far more important than the narrative, although the fan base for narrative-first games is constantly growing. If the visuals of a game as seen in a trailer are usually the first things that capture your attention, the sounds and music of the game are the things that will actually immerse you into the game. Even some of the earliest video games are fondly remembered for the sounds they made, no matter how minimal they were. Today, video games have full-featured soundtracks that are composed and arranged by a team of professionals and are even available on streaming services like Spotify for fans to enjoy outside of the game. If the budget allows for it, games also feature fully voice-acted dialogue, which adds another layer of depth to the audio experience. A well voice-acted game can truly make for some memorable moments. That was a really quick summary of all the core elements of video games. All these elements put together is what makes video games truly enjoyable. It's incredible how playing a video game can allow you to appreciate multiple art forms at the same time. To demonstrate this, let me end this video by showcasing a small level from the popular game Destiny 2, which I feel is a good example of these core elements in action. To give you some context, let me break it down using the 4 elements we've seen. Destiny 2 is a game about fighting aliens using space magic. In this level, the gameplay is all about using a new grapple mechanic. It is a tutorial set inside a space whose art style conveys the fact that it is a simulated training space. For the narrative part, all you need to know here is that our character is still learning how to use this new mechanic and is being trained by an off-screen character. All this is complemented by an energetic soundtrack along with voice lines that encourage you as you proceed through the course. I'll let the demo play out and let the gameplay speak for itself. Thanks for watching and see you in the next episode.
This is it, Guardian. Remember,
Flow with the river.
well, what are you waiting for? Good! Good! Embrace where the current takes you.